Hi, hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Creative Diaries. My name is Lillian, and thank you for being here. Thank you for being present and for lending me your ears. I hope you're having a beautiful day today. I want to just start this episode by naming that my perfectionist part is really coming out to play today. And I've had a difficult time this morning starting this episode. I think I've started this episode over 15 times. And so it's my intention just to slow down for myself, and to get present in my body. I notice that when I get caught in this loop of hesitation, this loop of fear, like, oh, this isn't good enough. I have to start over. I have to change this. I have to change that. I notice all of my energy is really moving forward out of my body. Like it's almost as if I have like a second body. Like my energy body is really like barreling forward. And the movement is a bit too fast. It's a bit too fast for me to keep up with. So there's this pull of energy coming out of my body. So I'm just noticing that and wanting to name that in this moment, I am drawing my energy back to myself. I'm taking some deeper breaths. I'm also looking outside of my window. And if you've been following along my journey, you'll know that these episodes are a practice for me. It's a practice for me to show up first and foremost for myself, really with this interest of like what happens when I show up and create this container for me to simply listen to what wants to emerge, and also really like grapple with my experience of expressing myself authentically, specifically in knowing that there is someone or an audience or a witness on the other side, right? So, like, what happens when I step into this arena of relationship and relational expression? And I think we can all relate to this, that when we are on our own by ourselves, it can be, not always, but it can be easier to just be ourselves. And when we're aware of a witness, when we're aware that someone might be perceiving us or watching us, something else happens. And this is the space of tension that I'm really, really interested in. I'm sort of obsessed with like the torture of it and the complexity of it. And there's this part of me that is almost searching for something like a breakthrough, right? Like I'm searching for like what happens if I keep showing up and I keep practicing this art of being myself? And like, does it get easier? I think this is what I'm trying to say. Does it get easier? Is there a time where I have like broken through broken through the barriers of myself, of my all of these protector parts, broken through the barriers of my shame, my perfectionism, my fears? Like, does it get easier? And then I'm also open and curious about the possibility that maybe it doesn't, and that maybe being ourselves is also always holding and being aware of the parts that do, quote unquote, get in the way, and being able to hold that discomfort and hold the tension, bear the tension within our bodies of the vulnerability, right? The vulnerability and the fear that comes up when we're in these relational spaces. that maybe there's always a tug of war. Maybe that's it. Like maybe this is it. Maybe this is the experience of the artist, of a human being that wants to be themselves, whatever that means. So, yeah, this is where I'm at today. I want to also, before I move on to another thread, is do a few announcements. This feels a little contrived, but here we go. I'm already going down this rabbit hole. A few announcements. One, just so you are aware, this podcast has a paid subscription option and also a free option. So if you're listening for free, you will get previews of the episodes about once a week and then a full-length episode once a month. If you are a paid subscriber, and by the way, thank you to my one paid subscriber. This is like very exciting for me, and my feeling of gratitude is just so, so big. It's almost like, whoa, I didn't even know. I didn't even know that people would want to give $5 to hear me speak for on this podcast. So it means so much to me, and words that I can't really oh, get out in this very moment, but I want you to know my appreciation for you and also how exciting it is to be in the beginning stages of any creative endeavor. Anyway, so if you want to become a paid subscriber, you'll get more in-depth episodes about once a week. Um, yeah, where you can just go a little bit deeper with me on my journey and hopefully there's something here for you. I hope that you're approaching listening to these episodes as sort of as a mirror. I hope to always be a mirror for people out there. So that's an option for you. If you want to head over to my Substack, that's where you would sign up for the paid episodes. The other thing I wanted to say is that this month I am gearing up for creating a group container that I don't really have a name for it. I'm just calling it a creative healing group. And the intention of this group is to meet once a week for either 4 to 6 weeks to be part of a process where we are supporting one another in awakening our authentic expression. And it's very much a continuing exploration that is represented in these episodes in Creative Diaries. I've been really interested in being in the process of quote unquote, what gets in the way. What gets in the way of our authentic expression? And so this is a group container where we get to explore that together. And then my facilitation, my intention of guiding the group is to also offer somatic practices, embodiment work, creative prompts for us to be with and grapple with, um, such as some channeled journaling practices, automatic writing journaling practices, meditation, and also embodiment work. And to me, that's a really rich and complex space to explore all of these inner parts that we have and to really kind of get to know these quote unquote obstacles. One of my favorite sort of phrases is the obstacle is the way. The obstacle is the way. So it's a good opportunity to get curious and to practice holding compassionate space for these things that might feel like an obstacle, right? And it's like, what happens when we come into relationship with these obstacles? Sorry, I'm getting a little allergy attack. I'm just gonna wipe my eyes and nose for a second. Um, yeah, I always have this image too, like we think about an obstacle, like it's a wall or it's a block or it's a big boulder. Um, Makes me think of Sisyphus, the Greek myth of Sisyphus, which I've been contemplating a lot recently, which maybe I'll share more about that. But we think about these obstacles and we're like pushing the boulder up the mountain. And it just makes me wonder, like, what is my relationship with the obstacle? And what if there's like another way or other variations to get into contact with this obstacle, to get to know the obstacle. So maybe I'm pushing or pressing against the obstacle. Maybe I'm avoiding it entirely. Maybe I'm trying to like walk in the other direction. What would happen if I put my back against the obstacle and just sat there for a while? What if I had a conversation with the obstacle and said, "Hey, what's your problem?" No, or just get curious, right? Like, oh, does this obstacle want to say anything to me? Do they have something to share? Is there some kind of hidden gift or hidden wisdom that the obstacle wants to give me? So that's sort of one thread of my interests and how I'm exploring for myself what gets in my way and what I'll be offering these types of inquiries to the group. So if you want to join, let me know. I'm in the process of sort of reaching out to people individually and seeing when they're available. We'll probably start in the next couple of weeks. Um, so let me know. Reach out to me. I'm just a few clicks away. You can email me and let me know you're interested. It'll be 4 to 6 weeks, weekly Zoom calls. And then in between the Zoom calls, just some creative process that you can do on your own, as well as some options for one-on-one sort of integration sessions with me as well. So those are my announcements. But I want to go back to this thread. I mean, I'm already speaking about it, but we're talking about authenticity. And as some of you know, I've been practicing clowning for about a year. On and off, I've had like a handful of workshops and retreats that I've done over the past year. So I'm still very much a novice at this creative art form. Um, but all to say, I happen to be seeing a therapist right now who is also a clown. And so it's very cool to sort of be bringing this clowning into the therapeutic and healing process. And anyway, I'm saying this to say I want to quote him quoting his clown teacher. And I don't know who his clown teacher is, so that's the reference. He said, "Always play the ball that's in your hand." Play the ball that's in your hand. And I'm thinking about this right now as it relates to my perfectionist part and how I'm feeling as I'm showing up today for this creative diary entry. And I'm sensing I'm not always fully aware of this, but I've become a little bit more aware of this as time goes on. But I think my perfectionist part is really fixated on providing value. And there's this big worry that comes up for me when I go to share, when I share my work, my creative expression. I'm worried that it won't be of value and it won't be valuable enough.